Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Pages Pixels podcast, where we talk about new movies or shows every week. And I'm Rohan, that's Kevin, and let's get into it because I'm really excited to talk about this movie because today we are talking about Weapons, the new Zach Cregger movie. But yeah, the movie's about 17 kids who they wake up at 2:17 and they all do the Naruto run and disappear. There's only one kid left in that class. Oh yeah, they're all from one class. Julia Garner plays the teacher. Justine.
Well, here's the strange thing. I thought getting up out of your bed at 2:17 at night, doing the Naruto run down the street with all of your classmates was a pretty normal occurrence. So I was pretty skeptical about this movie's success, going in, because that's just something I did every day. No, I just so I've known about this movie's existence for a long time. It was reported that Jordan Peele, he actually fired one of his executives because they didn't end up
Yeah.
bidding the bidding war against New Line for this movie. It's also been in production for a very long time. When I saw the advertising for it, it was very creative, with lots of clues, and the trailer was very hard to piece together. So then I started staying away from the rest of the trailers, like as the movie as the release date got closer. So I feel like going into it, all I was left with was this title, Weapons. And I'm just like, what is this movie about? I am really excited. I was really excited to see it, and I feel like, without any spoilers right now, it really delivered. I enjoyed it. I had a lot more fun with it than I did Barbarian. We actually watched this together too, and I wanted more from it. I feel like this delivered the more. I really thought that it went above that standard, in a lot of ways. What'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, I really liked this movie. I remember seeing the trailers. And at least the trailer that I saw, um, it was it was a super short teaser. I want to say it's just clips of the kids running. And I was like, well, what is this about? And I was intrigued because I actually think I like Barbarian a lot more than you do. But Zach Cregger, being the director of both Barbarian and Weapons, that's what intrigued me. And I also really liked the cast, which it is Julia Garner once again, right after Fantastic Four, and it was supposed to be Pedro Pascal,
Mhm.
instead of Josh Brolin, actually. So, which I think Josh Brolin was actually fantastic in this role, but that would have been funny. Pedro Pascal and Julian Garner, um, once again, right
In
after
like
Fantastic Four.
so many summer movies, Pedro Pascal has been in. And I'm sorry, I know Kirtana loves her or loves him, but uh, I we're overwhelmed with Pedro right now. Like
Oh, can
he's
never
in
get enough
so many
Pedro.
movies. I've had enough. I'm voting third party, not for Pedro.
No, but
Yeah.
yeah, back to Weapons. I thought
Hmm.
the movie was. I didn't really know what to expect much, or what to expect at all, and I really like that, and especially the way the movie plays out. It is like it's a horror movie, but it's also equal parts mystery. And I think the structure was very interesting where you are staying with Julia Garner's character, Justine, for a long time. And then all of a sudden the perspective is gonna change to Josh Brolin's character, Archer. And then I don't remember the exact order. I believe Alden Ehrenreich's character takes over after Archer.
Hmm. Paul.
Yeah, Paul, right? Which he was the only one where his storyline, or I don't think we necessarily needed it. I don't think it added much. But then after that, we got the junkie character played by uh yeah, I believe it's Aaron Abrams or Adam Abrams.
Austin Abrams, I
Okay,
think.
yeah. Um, which he's the only original cast member that stuck around.
Hmm.
Um, I thought his storyline was awesome, and we finally got the reveal of where the kids were. They're in the house.
Hmm.
And
Also, his
then you
performance was really excellent, I wanted to say.
He was hilarious, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of like I'm not going to go through every single one, but you slowly the mystery is established with Justine, and it's super interesting. And then you get a little bit more every time. And I think the way that it was shown um was awesome because it could have been just a straightforward A to B uh storyline with Justine, but instead he chose a very interesting structure to show, which if you're familiar with John Truby, he calls it there's the story, which is the premise, and then the designing principle, which is kind of how it's told. An example is Harry Potter, where um the premise of Harry Potter is simple, but the designing principle, if you look at the entire series of the books or the movies, it's one book per year that they are in school for these 7 years,
Hmm.
or one movie per year, with the exception of Deathly Hallows because it's split. So I think the structure really elevated the way that this movie was told. I wonder if it was just straightforward. I don't think. I think it would have just been another horror movie that comes and goes.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Kreger plays around with this structure. It's like that in Barbarian as well,
Mhm.
with three segmented parts, and then it kind of goes back to the very beginning. Protagonist in that movie for the last act. But I wanted to actually say that, I really hope that more movies like this show younger screenwriters that there's more to the three-act structure because this is kind of presented in a three-act structure style
Yeah,
movie, but it has characters within their own, little world converging on the final act. And I think that that is where this film, I think, does succeed. It has a really good way of showing you different perspectives of an event that you've already seen. And they play out um, kind of, I think that there's a couple times where it plays out a little bit different, or it's like it's kind of messing with your memory. I'm almost thinking of like when Paul goes to the bar. I don't remember if Justine got up and like hugged him or whatever, but
oh,
I
she
I
did.
started to get like in okay, she did. I
Yeah,
started to get in my own head a little bit because it was just trying to remember all those little beats and they kind of match perfectly. So I guess in that sense we are seeing everything perfect. As to like this is how everything played out, but it's from this person's perspective.
yeah,
Um and I just think that's a great technique and it's one that is used not just for this structure, but also for three-act structures, because I know a lot of the time we would get tips where it was like, okay, you've got your main character. Why don't you tell it from this secondary character's perspective, but like tell the whole story? Like write a 90-page script of this character's perspective. And then that doesn't have to be your final draft, but you can use that draft to help you with the storytelling of that other character. I think in this movie, we just benefit from knowing more information from each
yeah,
person.
yeah. I'm glad you brought the draft thing of writing from a different character's perspective up. It's actually something Tarantino does quite a bit, where he will write his first draft. And the reason why I know this is because he did an event where he was actually interviewed by Christopher Nolan. So if you're a film fan, definitely listen or watch that interview. But Tarantino said that he likes to write a script and he will show it around and they will give him feedback. And every time when you write a first draft, there is one character who is underdeveloped. So he says, okay, that one character that he gets the most feedback on being underdeveloped, he's going to write a draft from that character's perspective.
Hmm.
Um, and then he will do that when he does the third draft, he will kind of climb. Basically, what you said. I just think, um, I think it's an interesting exercise that even one of the Hall of Fame uh, filmmakers does. And I also think Krager actually one of the things that I really like about how Krager uses it is he doesn't just show the same events from different perspectives. He actually the uses this to build a little bit of suspense. So he will end something, and I think the best part of this is with Archer and Marcus, because the end of Archer's story is um, where you see Marcus doing the run, having blood all over his eyes, and attacking Justine. And you don't really know what's going on, and there is some level of like suspense there, but then he cuts away, and then you wait until you get to Marcus's storyline. Um, and you kind of see what's building, and then you see the end of that whole fight sequence, which is a really smart way to do it because it's he's not just showing you the same event. There is some intersection, but he's actually expanding more on the story with Marcus.
Hmm. Yeah, he's not just giving you the why as it comes along, which I think a lot of people fall into that trap of. It's like when something happens, oh, how did that happen? I have to explain it in the script how that happened. You don't
Yeah,
have to yet. You can go away from it, and I think it made all the more sense to do it this way.
yep,
Especially, I feel like most of the events in the story, at least from Justine and Archer's perspectives, are really drawn out. Whereas it feels like Paul, um, I forget the kid's name, the junkie kids, and Marcus's, their main focus is on that specific day because that's what ends up being leading to the events. Oh, and Alex's story is also really drawn out
yeah.
for
But
the
that's kind of the one that uh brings it all together at the end. So it makes
Mhm.
sense because is basically the entire third act.
Yeah. When it came to the dream sequences, I feel like they were folded in really well, but I don't really remember Justine's as well as I do Archer's, and I think that that is probably my favorite scene of the movie. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that part.
that's an awesome scene, and I actually really like Kreger's decision to let you know. Um, I mean, I don't know if he explicitly tells it, but he kind of makes it very obvious that it's a dream sequence from the very start. Because you
Mhm.
see Archer basically go to sleep and then wake up and stuff is happening. So you know that this is a dream. And as a result, all the scares that happen in the dream sequences, they don't feel fake. Because you already know it's fake. But then they do serve to reveal some character. And I agree. I think
Mhm.
Archer's is better than Justine's. Justine's was she kind of looks up and she sees who's the
Yeah,
aunt?
Gladys.
Aunt Gladys. Yeah, she sees her in the clown makeup because
Mhm. Uh, I have to address the elephant in the room. The gun, it's like an AK-47 with 217
217. Yep.
plastered on it. I wanna it's gonna be a bit of a heavy topic, but I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of connection to this movie and school shootings.
Yeah.
And I wanted to discuss it because I think that a lot of the primary discourse online when it comes to who really likes this movie and who doesn't is the people who I've seen don't like it, don't feel that it does a good job of drawing the connection to school shootings very. I wanted to get my thoughts, but I am curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. It did take me um kind of a minute to figure out what the movie was about, and then I do think the AK-47 kind of spells it out for you, like, hey, just in case you aren't aware. I have seen a theory out there that hey, the kids never actually ran off into the night. It is just about a school shooting. Um, and this is the entire movie is a dream sequence. I don't necessarily buy that. Um, I don't believe that I believe that there is magic in this world. And this is what happened. But I do believe that metaphorically, that's kind of what he was going for. Even if you look at 217, the Parkland school shooting, there was 17 victims, and um, it happened in February, so second month of the year. So that's kind of why it's 217, or one of the reasons why people might think it's 217.
Hmm.
There is obviously a biblical connection. I do kind of subscribe to this theory, given that if it weren't for the big AK-47 with 217 on it, I would probably have more subscribed to the biblical theory.
Yeah, the biblical theory is one that I did see circulating. I did not know about the different school connections. One thing I noticed was in Paul the cop's segment, he actually says, "Do you have any weapons on you?" And I picked up that line and I was like, okay, that's like one of the only times where we hear the title drop. And I'm wondering if there's another connection there. And I think um, what I'm what my interpretation of it is that we do have a real world scenario and metaphor that comes to school shootings when it comes to the disappearance.
Yep.
But then when it comes to the overall care of kids, like how kids are taken care of, um, I think it falls upon the parents and the community. And there's a lot of judgment that goes on. I mean, again, we've got the cop arresting the kid for breaking and entering, and he's very aggressive with him. We've got Justine, the teacher, who inappropriately gives kids rides, but she's also really not a kind person. She's being persecuted for doing something kind. And then we have Aunt Gladys, who has basically made Alex not tell a secret, and he has to go
Yep.
to school not revealing this secret. I feel like it is based this film is not just about school shootings, but I think it's about childhood neglect and abuse
Yeah.
and a system that the people have kind of created. I actually think that there's an even bigger message above it all.
Yeah. I agree. I still think that school shootings is a big part of it, but
Mhm,
I do think that everything you say also applies.
mhm. I think especially and this dives into the last act, so obviously if you haven't seen the movie you should watch it. But Alex the thing that kicks off the events of how the kids go missing is because Aunt Gladys ends up um mind controlling Alex's parents, and it seems like it's to gain some sort of youth or
Yeah.
her and then she manipulates him into getting all of his classmates' belongings, which he does in a very clever way, and she summons them so that she can basically feed on their lives. Um, that that secret part, I think, is the reason why I feel very strongly about what I think this movie's about. But also, I think Kreger, who has said in an interview, it's like he leaves it all open to the audience. So I think
Yeah.
that there's always a way that even if you don't agree with what everyone's saying about the movie, you can still enjoy it because you've got your own interpretation of what the movie is.
Yeah. 100%. I kind of like that he doesn't give you a specific answer. It's sometimes I like when you can kind of talk about a movie and everyone can have their own interpretations. And, there's no one that is like objectively right or wrong. Unless of course you think Aunt Gladys is um the hero, then I think if you say that in front of Zach Crager, he's probably like, "Nope, you were wrong." Uh,
Film Twitter loves her. They put her alongside you know, Demi Moore and The Substance and all of the
oh
other like horror divas out
yeah,
there.
Aunt Gladys is great. I don't know. Demi Moore in the Substance was next level though. So, uh, but we should probably talk about Aunt Gladys. I don't think we've touched on her much.
Mhm,
I guess we finally get the reveal of these kids being you know they didn't just disappear. They ran to Alex's house. where Aunt Gladys kind of had them in the basement. They were like still possessed. I will be honest with you. Um, I think this is for me the weakest part of the movie, like just the third act.
Hmm.
In general,
Oh, I agree, actually. Hmm.
yeah, there's just some. First of all, did none of the cops decide to look at the security cameras and be like, "Hey, this kid ran in this direction, this kid ran in this direction." Um, they never did a search of Alex's house. I don't buy that Alex would have never broken. Um, it just there's a lot of kind of there's a lot of like logical moments that didn't work for me. And usually I'm like, hey, if the ride is awesome, I don't care. But this time, I think there was like so many little things that added up for me. It just kind of a lot of the movie does start to fall apart a bit.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the parts with Aunt Gladys are funny, and I also like her reveal of like the witchcraft.
Yep,
I know it doesn't technically fall in the exact end act, but the way it's demonstrated, it's just like a really great scene that, doesn't require any verbal explanation of what's going on. You can
I
see it
love that.
and it makes sense. And I think the way that it ends up in the end, what Alex has to do to save his parents, yep, all that works for me.
Yeah,
Um, I think like his actions make sense. But like you said, the police don't really do anything. Now, I think that again, I think that is intentional. Um,
yeah,
he says at some Paul says at some point he goes, he's telling Justine how proactive the case is. Yet at the
yeah.
police station, they literally never I don't think they ever talk about the case in a
No,
significant way. So
yeah,
it's clearly not top of mind. They're not doing what they should be. Um, but also, Justine and Archer kind of just fall for something very peculiarly easy after the events that they went through.
yeah,
And I just don't buy that they would be standing around doing so little in the moment when there's so many weird things going on. But that's
yeah,
that's a bit of a nitpick for me. Yeah.
yeah. I will say I do think there was some great humor in the third act. I think when when Archer is just continuously beating the junkie kid, but he always comes back.
Yeah.
It's always like a one hit KO, but then 3 seconds later, oh, he's back. I love the moments of Aunt Gladys running away from the kids and they're just going into some random person's house
Yeah.
and they're like, what is happening?
Busting through the windows. They're ruining breakfast and
Yeah.
everything, and then she gets like torn apart
Oh
in the
yeah.
most unrealistic way. It was so brutal. It was so funny. I also like the scene where Archer gets mind controlled to like before,
Yeah.
where he's looking for his son. It's just really well shot. The lighting's great. I don't even remember what his son looked like, so it was very hard to like, okay, when is he gonna find him? And
Right.
then jump scare, and it's like, yes, yes, good,
Uh-huh.
it's really good.
Yeah, I think this does bring up another one of my issues though, where I guess it's unclear as to how the mind control exactly works because when Aunt Gladys dies, he immediately snaps out of it. Um,
Hmm.
we don't really see what happens with Paul, or the junkie.
They
Um,
died. They got shot in the head.
oh yes, yes, I forgot. Um,
Yeah.
but the kids, it's like they still stay in that mind control. Um, so it's a
For a
little bit
bit, yeah.
like I don't know why. I know that you mentioned it could be something to do with time.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, as we were walking out of the theater, you had mentioned that and I was like, I think it's time because I mean, they say in the narration that it took a long time before the kids were talking again.
Yeah,
And they still seemed kind of loopy. Like, so I think what happened was everyone broke free, but it took a while for people to catch up. And Archer, having just turned like
right.
moments ago, it was quick to catch up because
Mhm.
whatever mind control he was under didn't last long. But again, we could go, you know, and say it could be anything. What was the scariest moment of the movie for you?
I think my favorite scene was when Justine is asleep in the car and you see I am assuming this is a mom possessed. Because you don't
It
see her
looked like it.
clearly.
Hmm.
But she's not like I don't think it's Aunt Gladys, but I think she was walking in a weird manner with the scissors. And you are just like it's just so well done. You think that Justine is gonna get stabbed, but then it's like no, she approaches the window and she goes around and gets in the passenger seat. You don't even see it, but you can hear it with the sound, and you just see like the car moving, so you know that she is in the car, and it is
Hmm.
just you are waiting for something to happen. What, Justine? What the hell are you doing? Locking your windows or your doors? Uh, but and then you're just waiting for something to happen, and nothing does other than the the hair getting cut, which testament to great storytelling. You're like, well, what is that for? And then they do the Marcus uh perspective and you see what the hair is for and that's when you're like, oh shit, and it all connects.
Hmm. And then going off that, I feel like my favorite scene is the split up convenience store scene chase
That's awesome,
with.
yeah.
I mean, it's in all the promotion. Now, I did really like all the kids like running out of the house, while George Harrison plays. But I really love that the convenience store chase scene because it has like all of the elements of like the humor and this horror because it's in broad daylight. Benedict Wong is running down the street and Justine just like can't even react. And then also Archer kicking the living shit out of him, but it's still funny. It's like what the hell is happening? And then when she's leaving the convenience store, she's like, "Help me!"
Yeah.
It's so funny. It all ends in a horrific car accident, which is like it was so like the aftermath of that was so nasty.
Oh yeah,
Even I thought that was even nastier than the them pulling Aunt Gladys apart. Like I
I
just
agree.
looking at it. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and the needles.
The what?
The needles,
Oh.
basically it kept stabbing the cop. It was he was having the worst days of his life.
Yeah. Honestly, again, I hated Paul.
He really was probably like the worst character, but I do
Oh
think
yeah.
that his story is kind of what helped me connect some more of the dots to what I was thinking about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, as a reminder, or if you're new here, the way we rate things on Pages Pixels is on the script cover scale. There is pass when we don't think the movie is all that good, consider when we think it's pretty good, and recommend when we think it's great. As a reminder, this is not an actual recommendation; it's just a score. With that said, how would you score Weapons?
Recommend. I think it's great.
Yeah, same here. I think it's an easy recommend. One of my favorite uh movies of the year, one of the best horror movies of the year, and this has been a good year for horror. Uh,
Hmm.
it's yeah, this movie's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
and
Does it eclipse Sinners for you, or do you
I
like
don't know,
Sinners more?
honestly. Um, here's how I put it. I think Sinners might be a better movie. Like if you look at the artistry of it and all that, it's like Sinner is just like so well made. But you ask me right now, hey, you want to watch Sinners or you want to watch Weapons? I'm probably gonna choose Weapons because I think
Mm,
there is a more rewatchability. It's a little bit more fun in my opinion.
yeah. I feel like this is another studio lesson that original horror movies are outshining superhero movies and everything, and it's a wonder why they don't just keep cranking them out. Um, and this both of these movies have been two of the highest grossing movies of the year. I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
that is definitely saying
Well,
something to their
a little early to
quality
say that.
and everything.
Sorry. Continue.
True, true, true. It's a little early, but I mean, I don't know what's gonna beat it. Wicked for good, probably. Like,
Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm saying that it's a little early to say with Weapons. I mean, it has made $100 million, but there are, Jurassic World, it's at like what, 700, 800. So it's got a long way to
True.
go to be on the top. Now, if you look at return on investment, oh yeah, You Bet Weapons is high up there.
Yeah. Because it's a lower budget movie. I mean,
Yep,
I think if it had Pedro Pascal in it, that might have been like 5 times just for his check
yep.
alone. I'm not even saying that to hate on him. It's just true. And who was going to be the it was Renee Reinsva
I
as Julia
I'm not
Garner?
sure actually.
That's what I saw. Um we didn't talk about her much, but I thought Julia Garner's performance was great.
Oh,
Probably was
awesome.
my favorite in the movie. Her
Yeah,
Josh Brolin one.
it's her or Abrams for me.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was great.
Mm.
I'll just cut.
All right, so Kevin, clearly you really loved Weapons. So what else would you recommend, or what else have you been watching?
So I would recommend this 1980s Dutch horror movie. I know I'm doing something like, you know, foreign and underseen, but it's called The Vanishing, and it's kind of similar to Weapons because the movie is about a disappearance between it's like a man and his wife. His wife disappears, and then the first half of the movie is all from his perspective, but then the second half of the movie is from a different perspective. I won't say whose because you should go check it out. It's really good. It's really eerie, kind of in a very similar way to Weapons. As for what else I've been watching, I watched the documentary Pavements, which if you're a fan of the band Pavement, Hightail, you should check out that movie.
All right, yeah, that's awesome. I am gonna recommend. Um, I'm gonna recommend. I don't know if this is a cheat because this is
Marion.
one slash two slash three movies. Because I'm gonna recommend the disappearance of Eleanor Rigby. Um, this movie
Oh yeah.
is, yeah, it's about a guy whose wife disappears. And the really interesting thing about this movie is it's it's one story shot in two movies, or released as two movies. There's a him version where you see it from the husband's perspective, and there's a her version where you see it from the wife's perspective, and they are two separate movies. And then there is another version called Them, where you see it from both of their perspectives, and it's cutting back and forth. Um, I think it's more interesting to watch it him and then her. You can skip them because it's kind of the same thing, and I don't know. I think two separate movies altogether is more interesting. But yeah, this is one of the most unique movies I've ever seen. I've never really seen a premise like this. And I have also been watching Hundreds of Beavers, which this movie it's hilarious. It feels like a live action Looney Tunes movie.
Hmm.
I think that's the best way to describe it. It's it's silent film, and it's just a really good time. It's really funny.
I can't wait to check out Hundreds of Beavers. It's been on my watch list for a while. So is Eleanor Rigby. It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually looking to another movie that's kind of similar, where in I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a Japanese movie where it's like a game of werewolf, which people sometimes know as Mafia, and
Okay.
one but like there's real werewolves, I guess, and like so there's a perspective of the people who are not werewolves that are innocent, and then the perspective of the killers, the werewolves in the movie.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's two separate movies, kind of, but just different POVs like that. I thought that was I want to check that out as well. There's some really cool things you can do with different perspectives. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned next week for another episode where we'll talk about another movie or show or whatever. I'm Kevin.
I'm Rohan, and thank you so much.